Welcome to another exciting show with Kopi Invest. That's right. Here is your host right now with you all. We're going to have a great topic today. And I'm sure you all have seen our posters as well. We have advertised or published it before. It's called ghosting, or rather, in a very civilized word, cancel culture. Is it effective? That's the topic today at Kopi Events. We decided to put the health topics a while aside and jump into this interesting topic of ghosting, or we call it cancel culture. And with me, I have two amazing speakers with me. One is Dr. Arivinder Singh, HS, who is a regular Kopi Kaki, or rather a Kopi fan, who's all the way from Malaysia, is joining us virtual today. You all should know him because he's a very regular speaker. And another great gentleman that with me will be joining with me is Sheam Kannan. He is also a great guy who actually represent the youth, and most of the times he's always doing something. And let's invite the both of them and let's get started on this topic. Let's get Dr. Arivinder. Hi, Dr. Arivinder Singh.
Good evening, sir. How are you, sir?
I am good. How about you?
I'm okay. Wheels are turning.
All right. So have you stand by your coffee cup already, or you still?
I have been coffee free for the last few years, so I have my glass of water, bro.
All right. Hydrating yourself, right?
Yeah.
Okay, doctor, let me pull up Mr. Sheam Kannan. Hello, Mr. Sheam.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Vance. Hello, Dr.
How are you there,
Arivinder.
buddy?
Yeah, good.
As usual, before we start on, Dr. Arivinder, I mean, you don't need any introduction, but please, for those who are joining us right now, you might do a short introduction of yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Arivinder. You can call me Arivinder. I'm a medical officer by training. I've completed my master's in health research. I'm currently a PhD fellow in community health in epidemiology and statistics in Hospital UKM on the National University of Malaysia. My main area of interest is in research, clinical research, and mainly involving sports medicine, occupational health, and psychiatry.
Thank you, Dr. Sheam.
Hi, everyone. You can call me Sham, and basically like to do a lot of volunteering, and my interest is in healthcare, and I'm engineering background. So basically, if there's any kind of challenge out there or events out there, I'll always be there. I mean, Vance knows me for that, and I'm trying to stay healthy as as I can, because I got my cup of tea already. So
That's okay. It's still okay. A little bit of dopamine there in your coffee. Only Dr. Arivinder is going with water. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. As you all know, Kopi Events topic is always about health, but today we decided to jump into this topic of called cancel culture, and we're also going to be talking a little bit of the aspect of it, and why, behind the psychology and in front, pre and post, so kind of stuff. So we already have few of the viewers have already sent me few answers why they want to do this cancel culture or this ghosting itself. But let's start up with Sham first, all right? Ghosting or cancel culture, what actually you are more well known for, or I mean rather what you know of?
I mean, both terms can be defined differently, but in my opinion, ghosting is like you're gonna reach out to someone who probably needs their help, but then they basically do not want to be bothered, or they have a conservative nature, and then as such they just disappear from your radar, and you just
Right.
wonder like why did they even contact you in the first place?
Right.
And the other side of cancel culture is more on maybe understanding where you are, like which country you are, like the things that we say in Singapore might be offensive in another country. So to those people out there, is mainly portrayed through platforms such as social media, or basically,
Mhm.
they are like Twitter, Facebook. And if
Right.
you're a celebrity, you have to be very careful about such terminologies or things that you say out there. It can be as simple as you talking to your own friend, but there are so many eyes watching you, and that
Right.
becomes a negative image, which you didn't want in the first place. Yeah.
Okay. We will now jump into Dr. Arivinder. Dr. Arivinder, cancel culture.
Yeah,
We're not going to go into the psychology yet, but what actually you gather the information on?
you see, cancel culture, bro, from the reading and from all whatever has happened in the past was actually like how Sean put it correctly, that it was actually done among celebrities. But because of we have, like I mentioned before in the shows, that we have not gone online. We are actually living online. That is how it is. That our culture is of that. When was the last time you remember that you were not online for a day, or not online for 24 hours or even 12 hours without sleeping? All right, so imagine that. So even with that, so what has happened is, in the past it was actually confused a lot it was a lot of confusion with flaming, like shaming online, telling celebrities off, this and that. Now they have come into a culture which is a very new culture called the cancel culture. And there is one particular, I'm not going to mention names here, but there were two celebrities who were involved very highly in an academy award, lady Oscar award, I think, if for that matter,
Okay.
where one celebrity slapped the other celebrity.
Yep.
There were many people who flamed that one celebrity who attacked the other celebrity, but a lot of them actually decided to cancel culture. They just decided to ignore that person, and
Right.
that person
Right.
actually felt it right till now. Yeah, so it's quite a extensive thing. I think in the past it was used a lot for people who are celebrities, but right now I think that has overtaken, and even normal people are actually suffering from that.
All right. Thank you guys, both of you all, for going through what this cancel culture effective, rather the cancel culture itself. But right now, the real issue is we are diving in deeper. So me, I'm going to add in a lot of spice. I'm going to add a lot of salt and pepper to make it even more, coming from the Indian background. So I'm going to put some masala as well, uh, to see how deeper we can go in. Okay, so right now, what's basically is happening is this cancel culture, or rather, I'm going to put it as ghosting. It's becoming very, very famous, or rather, already famous for infamous things among the youth. So I assume, Dr. Arvinder, so we are in the same standards. Probably you're primary six and primary six. In Malaysia, you call it what, Form 5 or something like that?
Standard 6.
Standard 6, all right? And then suddenly one day, I decided, I don't know why, I just decided I'm not going to be in any communications with you, and I just go disappear. But what is the real motive is I want to teach you a lesson. So it can come from a form of revenge, or in another form of, I just don't even want to waste time on Arvinder. But what we're going to understand right now, doctor, what is the psychology behind for that youth to do this to his very close friend? Because probably what's happening is, guys, is the friend will be probably sitting down and wondering what exactly has happened. Why Dr. Arvinder is not going to talk to me? Why am I messaging him? So you message him by email, communication, social media, but I'm still active. I never blocked you, but it's just that I ignore you. So I'm going to inflate pain on you. Is it some kind of a mental disorder? Or we have not come in yet, but what is the psychology behind that, doctor?
I think this comes under a big term of being isolated. As you know, in the few theories and whence you will be the best person to know doing psychology, that no man is an island. In fact, I would like to say no person is an island, because when you say no man is an island, then people will say, what about ladies? So I like to use no person is an island. Now, having no person as an island, you can always think that everybody needs to interact with one another. The problem is when you are actually interacting with one person and then there is a sudden cut. Can you imagine, like now I'm talking to you, Vince, and you suddenly
Yep.
mute me? You suddenly
Yep.
mute me, off my camera, you being the administrator. Just I mean, let's put it that for that matter. And
Right.
I'm trying to talk, but nobody hears me. Nobody. So that is basically what cancel culture is all about. I just
Right.
completely shut you off. I don't take you off the show. Like Vance, you don't take me off the show. You're still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Right? You
Yeah.
just completely mute me. You completely off my listen, as if I'm not existent, but I'm
Right.
there. So in medical terms, they call it a space occupying lesion. That means it is just there, out of nothing. But
Right.
unfortunately, that has two different things. So I always tell people that there are two different issues here. There are two different, it takes two to clap. So it will be one person of a person who is doing it and the other person of receiving it. In the past, if you study the history of cancel culture, the people who are doing it actually want to teach these celebrities a lesson, that they have done something wrong, they have to learn from it. But let's think about it, and just think about it very strictly. Aren't celebrities humans? Aren't they allowed to make mistakes? And it brings us to a bigger question. I may be a doctor, Vance, you may be a fitness coach, Sham may be a person who is interested in youth health. But aren't we
Right.
allowed mistakes? So the other thing that happens is flaming, or where they actually they call out syndrome, whereby the call out culture, where everything you say, like now I'm saying something, Vance turn around and say, hey Arvinder, but this, that means you are wrong.
Right.
Then again I say something else, then again he say, no, but this fella said like that, so you're wrong. So there's a call
Right.
out culture. Now when we keep doing that over and over again, it actually causes two things. Number one is, the person who is hearing it may have a mental burden, and the person who is actually dishing out may have developed a mental stress on him or herself.
Mhm.
So when we talk about psychology or psychiatry of that matter, it can become a bit of OCD, because every time you're following and tracking that person, it becomes a bit of a compulsion. And when that happens, that may be a psychiatric disorder, and the person who is undergoing it may develop depression, anxiety, stress,
Right.
these which are psychiatric disorders. So I would
Right.
say that, I won't say that it is due to that, but it may be I won't say that it is a disorder, but I would say that it is a stressor or a causative mechanism to
Mhm.
lead all of that. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Arvinder. Sham, your take in this matter
I mean, as
among the youth.
among the youth is I mean, we call it the short form of FOMO, right? Fear
All
of
right.
missing out. So if you do not know certain things and trends that going on, and especially in today's context, the famous social media of TikTok. So if you do not know this famous music, or you do not know this famous dance move or anything, it just causes that fear that Dr. Ravinder is trying to portray, and that becomes influence or a negative influence in the youth as well, because by nature not everyone is as outgoing as maybe myself or ourselves here. So when you consider the other spectrum of people out there, they are so put down, and they don't even bother to come out and share their opinion, and that in a form is a cancer culture, because they just keep
Right.
quiet and do not do anything about it, even if they disagree with whatever problem statement is put out there. And even for myself, I meet so many people, I meet my bosses, everybody. So people ask me like, do you censor stuff that you put on your social media? I mean, like even a question out to those who are watching us live,
Right.
and even to yourselves. Do you add your bosses openly on social media? That itself sparks a very interesting question, because
Mhm.
the answer to me is, why not? We're all humans, right? We're connecting on LinkedIn, we're connecting on Facebook. It's a platform for us to connect. But the judgments is being held back so badly because of some of the experiences some of them have faced, or rather like celebrities that they have seen and being dished, and
Right.
it becomes like now we are the celebrities of our own. So the moment you say something, people react, people share, people spread, and it just becomes a rumor, and effectively turns into a cancel culture. And yeah, it just demoralizes someone who wishes to stand out and share their own idea or perspective in that way. Yeah.
Thank you, Sham. Thank you, Dr. Arivinder. I mean, that was we're diving in deeper, as you can see. I'm going to read out some of uh, the answers that were sent to me, and I find it very interesting. I'm going to share with the both of you all, as well as the viewers out there. Later, we can go through on this, and these are seems to be positive with me. The person who's doing the ghosting to the other person, they feel these are the ways, right? These are the answers. Sometimes I don't really know a person well enough to feel like I owe them an explanation. So you are like, I don't know you well. I don't need to owe you an explanation. And also, I just disappear. And I don't even want to bother to block you because it wastes my energy and effort. So I just go disappear, right? You message me 100 times, I'm not going to reply. So that's number one. Number two is sometimes the person is, and but, okay, it's another word of but. So I don't really want to explain anything. So what basically is saying that the person is extremely bad, right? So don't even want to reply. The third one, sometimes I'm just being a coward. So I find that this person who sent to me is very, very genuine and very truthful, because it's just telling them they don't want to have any confrontation, right? And can't bring myself to tell them that I'm not interested. So that's number third. Number fourth one is sometimes it's just too much of drama. People don't accept it when you say you're not interested. So to save the trouble, I just go disappear. This one is very interesting. I just want to hurt him or her. Uh, no reasons, no rhymes. So from these answers and few of these answers, do you? I mean, both of y'all. This is your own experiences, or maybe probably you may have faced it, or maybe how we can handle it in a positive way. But let's look at the negative side. Dr. Arvinda, if someone ever does that to you, imagine Vance does that to you. I went disappeared. He like, hey, what lah? Today need to eat, drink Kopi, but Vance disappeared. What will your reaction be? Will you be like, hey, what's happening? What is going through in your mind?
So it happened to me many times, lah, bro, in the past.
Okay.
But the thing is, why does it happen? You must also think in that sort, because we are only hearing one side of the story. They
Right.
say too much drama, too much this, too much that. But the thing is, what causes them to react in such a way? Maybe they know the person, or they have had enough of bad experiences with other similar people, where they don't want this tension anymore. But the thing is, that is their coping mechanism. Like how we mentioned in the past, that if somebody were to flame you online and all, don't learn how to read the comments, just ignore them
Right.
positively. But the problem is now it's the other way around, where that person has done whatever we have mentioned to them in the past. But now it comes to the point where, what happens to the other person who is doing that?
Right.
So I think there must be a coping mechanism with both. I think the first person is trying to avoid them being depressed, anxiety, and stress. And I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm not saying that ghosting is right, or even
Right.
cancel culture is right. But
Right.
what I'm trying to say is, the other person must always think about a couple of things. Number one, this person could be busy, or this person may not be all the time available or as free as I am to actually message or even ask this person or even
Mhm.
reply.
Mhm.
Some people don't check their social media every day. I think when you have experience with me, you know
Right.
that if you want me, you immediately pick up the phone and call me. But
That.
yeah, but the thing is, it takes time for me to answer basically on social media, on all your different types of social media, even your mobile based social media, that may or may not get an instant reply. because, and we have touched this in the past, because that we are moving so fast with time, that everybody demands, or there's a social demand, let's
Right.
put it that way.
There you go.
I want a reply immediately. You know, let's look at it at a different point of view. And I
Right.
will tell you, one of the cancel cultures which is happening right now, whether you like it or not, in a certain way, is it with children. Remember
Mm.
in the past, when you and I, if you want to get anything, you want to get a toy from the cupboard where you can't reach or anything, what do? You ask your parents, you ask your siblings. So there is communication, and that is how our verbal and motor skills actually developed. But do you realize a lot of kids these days have delayed speech, delayed this, delayed that,
Mhm.
because they use a lot of multimedia tools or even gadgets. They use their handphones, they use their tablets, they use this. So they don't have to do anything. For them, their motor skills is going to give them a response.
Right.
And that itself, when you talk to the child refuses to respond. Is it the child's fault? It's a cancel culture, but it was inducted to them, meaning to say, if you had not given them that these particular devices, they perhaps won't turn out that way. And studies done have shown that children with limited access to devices have this. So sometimes because of this, they know that if they don't do any input, they are not going to get any output. So is that where cancel culture came from? When cancel culture never came about when you and I were
No,
when we
not
were
at all.
young. But because we knew that you say, I get a response. That is how
Yeah.
responses happen. But these days, I trigger. If I don't trigger, then nothing happens. So is that where cancel culture came from? So perhaps because of all these other things, and I'm not saying again IT is bad. I'm not saying devices are bad. I'm not saying gadgets are bad. It is perhaps introduced in inappropriate way to children that is actually causing this. Now at the same time, because every time they press they get a response, now when I message a person, I may actually, or my brain is tuned to think that I supposed to get a response immediately, but
Right.
unfortunately it doesn't happen. And that can be conceived as maybe pseudo cancel culture.
Right.
I person is ignoring me, but actually the person may be away, no internet connection, person has lost their device, or something has happened to their device.
Right.
So
Right.
many different things. So I think perhaps it is a perception from both sides,
Right.
and that's my opinion.
We definitely going to come back again on this in this segment, but before that, I'm going to go to Sham right now. Sham, among the youth, right? I mean, I'm still coming back to the youth on your side. Um, why did you think that if, let's say, if probably I'm 17 years old, right? We've been talking about youth between 17 or below 18. Why don't you have the guts to come and say, you know what, Sham, I don't think so. This relationship is going on well for the both of us because I like mee goreng, you like chicken rice. We can't seem to join. So I'm going to let's go apart. But that communication is not happening. Why?
Yeah, so it's as rightly pointed out that we are 24/7 on our devices. We are somehow connected. We can check our emails. We can check anything using our mobile itself. So that's where it probably stands where, because let's just say I'm at home and I'm in my
Yeah.
room right now and I need a cup of tea. So instead of me going out, not just because I'm in this session right now, I can just text my mom. I'm like, Mom, I need a cup of tea. And that's the communication, and that becomes the way, even if you're right in the same space, and then you're so lazy to even just open your mouth or open the door to just talk to that person physically. And why I can relate that is as simple as how you're adding friends, even on LinkedIn. You don't even know them, but why do you add them? And then when you add them, you just keep them as a friend list. Like, simply, like, if you have 4,000 or 5,000 friends on Facebook, do you really know them, each and every one of
Mm.
them? And you'll be like, okay, this person has mutual friends. Yes, we add them in.
Right.
But the moment there's some kind of weird message that comes out, okay, I'm gonna block this guy, or I'm gonna block this girl, or
Right.
suspicious. So that kind of triggers them. And I think one of our viewers has shared, it's a form of coward, like being coward,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
So
Roshni,
so
thank you.
that's very true. It's a literal thing of a keyboard warrior, right? You don't have a face to it. You don't know who this person is.
Mhm.
It's as simple as how a simple message from me to you can be misinterpreted because you do not know the tone. and you do not know how I'm presenting it to you right now. So you
Right.
misinterpret that this tone is very demanding, but actually no, that's just you. You know, that's how you type. So these kind of things that cause some frustrations and causes frustrations in relationships. Uh, I mean, it has to end, but it won't because of the way the society is moving forward. But people do say that people come into your life and they go. So that in a way is ghosting, right? But
Right.
we shall take it in a positive way because experiences do matter,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
and that in that context wise, cancer culture has grown negatively in the youth.
So I'm going to pose a question to the both of you, all right, and of course to the viewers as well. You can message us or private message if you don't want to. I can put on the number later. Okay, to the both of you, all right. Is it intentional, induce to inflate pain on the other party? Because it seems like I'm not I'm not deleting Arvinder from my social media. I'm keeping you there. I want you to see that I'm going for my satay, my mee goreng, my chicken rice. Somehow or other, the person wants you to be there. All right. I mean, like what Sham said. Okay, we are done with it. All right. Okay, let's go on our own ways and we block. But somehow or other, they want that particular person to be in. They want the particular person to be viewing everything, but just that they don't want to communicate. Could there be an issue where the other party wants to see the other party is suffering? Because probably, Arvinder, you'll be sitting down there without an answer because it's not a open-ended question, right? It is just an open-ended question. You don't have an answer yet, which is that, hey, why? If I say, Arvinder, you know what? I don't like you wearing black. I like you to wear red. So I'm not going to talk to you. So at least you know that, okay, I was a mistake. So it's the topic just closed. But this is, I'm just putting a comma, not even a question mark. I'm putting in a comma and I release. How will you feel, or in your past experiences, when someone did the ghosting, and probably the first time you'll be thinking, hey, why the guy just disappear, but he doesn't want to communicate. But how one should actually have the resilience to overcome this issue if somebody is doing it intentionally?
So I think, just to be fair, there are some people who may not want to inflict pain. Like I think one of the viewers correctly mentioned, they don't want confrontation. I don't want to remove this person on Facebook,
Right.
or sorry, on social media for that matter. I don't want to put this person. I don't want to remove this person or block this person, because at the end of the day, I may get flamed. The person will go and post on social media and say,
Hmm.
this person, oh, you see, this person has blocked me. They have done this. They have done that. I mean, up to a certain extent, it is the right of the person, but people do not want to injure other people's feelings. But
Right.
again, does that stop another? I'm playing devil's advocate here. Does
Yep.
that stop the other person from wanting to share certain things on social media? So they may be doing it unintentionally. But at the same time, it is the prerogative of the other person on how they want to take it. So if we keep saying that, it's a two-way thing. I always think it can be the other person may not mean anything. The other person is taking harm from it. The other person may want to inflict harm, but the other person does not take it. So I
Right.
think we live in a difficult time, especially where we live online. And the
Right.
problem is, this did not exist in the past because we see each other only face to face, and that's it, that was done. Now, before the pandemic, it was already heightened. Now, after the pandemic, it was even more heightened, or maybe in the endemic phase of the pandemic, where it's heightened,
Right.
where it has become a norm to actually be online. Like, when do you ever think, thought that in the last 10 years, hey, why you didn't come for the online meeting that day? Somebody will be like, huh, what? What online meeting? Even you tell people that you're taking online classes, they say, "Oh my God, I think better question whatever degree or diploma this guy is doing." But now, oh, you're doing online, very good, very good, better lah. But what I'm trying to say is that this is the online culture. So
Right.
if one person, it depends on how the other person takes it. If the other person just choose to ignore, which I think is also a good way of saying that, okay, it's fine. You see, again, although opposites attract, you can have two magnets, the north and south pole will attract each other. So even if you have mee goreng and one person has chicken rice, they may have an Asian fusion of mixed chicken rice, mixed mee chicken rice, me and chicken rice they mix together and they come up with something new. That's a fusion.
Right.
But fortunately, life is not that simple. And what happens is people sometimes decide to go different paths and different ways, and it is fine. But unfortunately, in the past, when you and I know that if you part with people where you part as friends or you part as
Right.
partner, unfortunately, you don't see them until you meet them face to face. But now, with a
True.
couple of clicks, you know. And some people stalk other people. They keep stalking
Right.
and saying, "What is this person doing? What is that person doing?" And then that person is doing this and doing that. That person is saying, "Oh, you see, the fellow is doing like this, like this, like this. Is that hinting at me?" But that may
Right.
not be the actual reason. So I think it plays in both ways. How what a person posts maybe they need to be careful of what you post and exactly how you're going to receive this. That is why, remember, we spoke about this in the past, that every time you're going to forward a message, always think, is this, number one, necessary? Is this the truth or is this not the truth? And number three is it going to upset people? If it is going to, stop that. That's it. The message stops
Right.
with you. You are doing your part. So I think that is how we actually need to view it, from two directions. The person who is doing it may need to just calm down, don't do it intentionally, and the other person needs to accept that the other person is not doing it intentionally. I
Right.
think that's where we meet in the center.
Thank you, Arvind. Now I'm going to pose a different question to Sham. Sham, so I spoke to someone today and said that, the ghosting, he went like this. What? Ghosting? What is that? Is it some kind of a ghost? I said, no, these are human ghosts. So what is it? So I told him what exactly. He said, oh, does this even happen? He said, yes, it happens. So I told him, I said, if it ever happens to you, what you do? Oh, I would just don't bother, and kind of stuff. So probably he's more in the 70s kids. So 70s and 60s kids, somehow or other they are very strong, very bold, because they went through the hardship. But somehow or other, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, the 70 onwards, or rather 80 onwards, seem to be very strawberry to me. I mean, I'm not sure if it's a fair statement to say that, but somehow or other, it is quite common. So when I was discussing it with my kids, and they say, oh, ghosting, your culture, they don't even know what's exactly cancel culture. They don't want to go to that, but they know what is ghosting, and ghosting is quite common in the schools. So it's like, you know what? We just go disappear. Then I said, do you ever communicate? I said, no. So the communication just stops. But in the past, where we communicate, right? Like what Dr. Arivinder said, we communicate, we share our thoughts, our expressions. If I don't like, hey, you know what, Dr. Arivinder, I don't like you wearing black. Maybe you want to wear red. Then probably you ask me, hey, why? Mera tak boleh apa? Why red? I cannot wear. No, you can, but you looks good on red. So what I'm trying to say, Sham, for you is how the other party should behave if someone decided to stop the communication, but not blocking you, not blocking you, but leaving in front of you, but not talking to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just like to highlight one more point from Dr. Ravinder. It's basically when you see your news feeds on any platform, the first thing you tend to do, even for myself, is to relate it to me. So, for example, I went out with you both today, and both of you went to post on your social media. Today's outing is very bad, or I didn't like to. I don't like today. So the first thing I'll be like, huh, I went out with you both and then you posted this. It means that did I do something wrong, or did I behave something wrongly? So that kind of things happen, and then I will start to tend like, should I message Vance? Should I message Arivinder? What happened? I feel very bad. Naturally, it's because like maybe on the way home, it started to rain. So it's as simple as like, oh, that's why my day is bad today. So is where this ghosting also comes in, when you happen to meet this friend of yours, you can immediately click, but then they just disappear. So I mean, for personal sharing, it's my childhood friends from primary school. So they did disappear, but because their whole family migrated. So for a while, there's this pause where I do not know, because they're all settling down in their new countries, in America, in Australia. But the
Right.
moment, because I mean, though I'm not very young also, but I'm belonging to the 90s group. I do
Right.
follow what you just said, which is there could be something happening, right? So in my generation also, there was not much technology until later, and I'm like, hey, let's connect on WhatsApp or Telegram. Although we are living in different countries, there's always a way to connect. So it started with Facebook, and then we started to get each other's contact, and we keep in touch. So
Right.
that ghosting could be just a misinterpretation on the situation that's happening. But in
Mhm.
in real life, it's as basically we call it ignorance is bliss, right? So if I'm unhappy with you, I just ignore you for a period of time. We call it taking a break. So
Right.
that could also be a possibility. But if the taking a break goes too long, it just basically means that friendship or relationship is not going to go well for you, because there
Right.
is something that person, that other party doesn't like about you and is not being open to you. So in my
Right.
context, if that happens to me, I would try my best to reach out to that person. But if that person continues to ghost me, I gotta move on. I mean,
Okay, go see.
they call
Okay.
it a lot of fishes in the sea, right? So
Right.
you just gotta make more friends along the way, and yeah, things goes on. But if we go back to our time, we will definitely break down. We will get emotional, like what
Yeah.
happened.
Right.
Did this person get into the worst case scenario in an accident?
Right.
Because last time we do not have technology, we do not know where you are.
Right.
Technology is so advanced now that you just can't hide things, but you're just hiding behind words and
All right.
devices. Yes.
Thank you for
So
that, Sham. And we're going to go to Arvinda. Same line, because Justina has asked us, how about the trust and the many years of friendship? My friend did it to me. Still now, I don't know why she did that to me. So probably, sorry, Justina. I mean, on a lighter side, she just disappeared and ghosted you, obviously. Dr. Arvinda, what is your take on this?
just to add what Sham has just mentioned, why
Yeah.
did ghosting come about? Is remember when you are on your device, and you're doing something right now. What do?
Right.
That is what ghosting is all about. You don't want any interruption, you off it. That is what it's all about. I mean, that's the concept. I'm not saying it's right or
Okay.
wrong, but it is the concept. So about Justina, who says that what about trust? Many years of friendship, my friend did it to me still now, and I don't know why she did it to me.
All right.
It could be that this particular person may have, I'm just giving being hypothetical here, may have got married with other different commitments
Right.
where they don't have time for themselves. How are they going to actually respond to other people? Because
Hmm.
when I always say that when too many things come in, something has to give. Something has to
Right.
give. It's either your own me time or something like that, and that person may have moved on. But I think it is only fair, even though if you feel that you don't want to speak to the other person, I completely agree with Sham, is to communicate and tell it.
Right.
Look, I don't want to I don't want to be sorry, I'm not trying to cause any issues, but I cannot tolerate you wearing black, for example. I can't tolerate you wearing
Okay.
black. Every time you wear black, I think of a black cat that is going to walk in front of me
Right.
across the road. I'm going to get knocked down by something. So I don't want that. I mean, that's
Right.
communication. Now the other person should also take it to the limelight that okay, this person is as such. Because one of the thing about ghosting culture and even what you call cancel culture is basically the people who are inducing this don't understand that if they don't communicate, the other person is not going to change. That's not going to change. If you block, if you don't, if you keep posting this and that on Facebook, or this on that on social media for that matter, and you keep saying, okay, I give Sham's example. I went out. Oh my God, today was a bad scenario. Is that going to change me? It may make me more anxious. It may make me stressed. It can make me depressed. But is it going to change what? Let's say it is about me, is it going to change me? No. Unless Sham turns around and tell me, Arinder, today when you were talking, you brought up about that black shirt, red shirt issue. I made me very uncomfortable. Oh, then suddenly everybody has a good perspective. I now understand that me, although I think it's okay about it, but it is not comfortable to another person. So just and I'll say, the biggest thing about ghosting and canceling culture is to communicate and to apologize. Because once that happens, you find that this whole situation becomes better. But unfortunately, and going back to the example which I gave just now about kids and teenagers with their devices, they are actually exposed to their device, and that is actually shaping them.
Right.
They may seem, they may seem like they are not willing to work, but actually they want to work tech savvy, so they want to do everything is easy. But unfortunately, the way they solve problems, Vance, come on lah, you and I, if let's say there's something wrong with your computer today, you're
Right.
trying to do something, you're trying to shoot, you're trying to speak on the mic,
Right.
you're trying to put your camera on, but nothing is working. What's the first thing you do? You switch it off and try and turn it on again. But
That's
real
right. That's
life,
exactly what I did.
exactly. But but in real life, it doesn't work that way. You switch
Right.
it off. When you switch it on, you're not going to get back the same effects of what you had again. It's not
Right.
machine, but machine actually does that. So I think for me, it has developed this psychiatric perception between
Right.
the youth today that is how we deal with things. Oh, the
Yeah.
internet is not working, off and on the modem again. You know, you know what I mean? Hey, the light is blinking, switch it off again. That is what we used to do. But our time, fluorescent tube, if it starts blinking, it's time to change the bulb.
Change
That's
it.
it. Yeah, it's simple. But unfortunately, the thinking process, it has become binary these days. Yes or no. I don't like off it. But unfortunately, the human capacity of mind is much more complex than that. It's not a yes or no. It's always a big maybe. And that is the gray area that actually affects us.
Great discussion. We are now at 41 minutes of that, just talking about this ghosting and this cancel culture. But we have not gone into the resilient mode. We call it the positive interventions, like how one should behave, because probably this could be also a victim. Because guys, what probably happened in the other side is, example, right? You value a relationship, either it's a good friends, a family members. It can happen to anyone. And then apparently this person is very vulnerable, and he gives everything out. He doesn't keep anything. And if ever that has to happen to him, he is in a higher state of going into anxiety and depressions and so forth. But so we're going to talk about these resilience and positive interventions, right? What we can do if someone suddenly stop talking with us. It make us that we look more superior, inferior, in a way that it can be an induced pain. So probably I'll be sitting down and wondering why Arivinder never talked to me, or did I told him something that he got angry, and so probably the person is having a lot of issues with them, right? But the other person just doesn't care. You know what? Hey, I'm moving on. I got 1,500 friends. It doesn't matter to me. But I'm going to take this question from Eric, and then we will go into positive interventions, right? Why don't just end the relationship by communication? So probably Eric is also coming by that. So why don't we just finish up with communication? Just talk it out. Hey, Arivinder, let's go apart. I'm not going to talk to you. But the person remain in that situation, and probably that person also doesn't know why they're finding answers. Probably a lot of things going in their mind. Sham.
I think also relating to Justina's question just now, it all goes back to acceptance. It's acceptance, as it can be your marriage, it can be your girlfriend, it can be just your best friend forever. But after, let's just keep for 5 years or 10 years kind of relationship, why does it just get cancelled? Because this person has been trying to understand you as long as they can. And believe me or not, that person might have been giving hints all along these years.
Right.
Hints to that other partner or friend or whoever. And if that person doesn't get the hint, and maybe this form of communication he or she has tried, maybe even posting it on social media just to hint to this person, or even face to face, it could have been trashed out, or maybe in a wrong situation, maybe in front of you kind of shame them in front of others, that didn't go well. But then after so many hints along the way, they just decide, you know what, I'm not cut for it, and I have better things and better friends to be with. Yeah. So why you can end the communication also, because you don't get to talk anymore, and the other party will be still wondering, what did I do wrong that made
Right.
that person?
Yeah.
So it can be a bit related to either being sexist or even racism, or
All right.
in our social norm is just like pointing out things that you should not say in front of another religious person or a person of another color. So if we get to understand all this, believe it or not, this ghosting and cancel culture will disappear. But it takes some form of understanding and acceptance by the
Okay.
party. Like
Right.
for my years of volunteering, there are people that I can really work with. There are people I really cannot work with. And
Okay.
those people I choose to cancel.
Okay.
But
Right.
I do kind of communicate it across, because again, the world is so small, right? The moment I get to meet you, I already know you're a mutual friend of another. So when I know that you're a mutual friend of another, I try to understand you, so that when I meet the other person who's our mutual friend, I do not see it as a bias, like, hey, suddenly you meet my friend and you're hanging out with
Mhm.
my friend more than me instead. What's happening?
Right.
So that becomes a form of jealousy as well. And all these negative thoughts and basically interpretations and perspective has to be come across as acceptance, because if you want to find out the truth, they would have provided you with hints. That's
Right.
my sharing.
So thanks, Sham, for that. Arvinda, one more question for that, and before we go into the interventions, right? I mean, we always talk about the problem first. Let's not talk about solutions. We shall sharpen the. There's one. What do you call that? The deer always keep on sharpening the horn in the tree. Why? Because preparing for in case one lion come. Huh? So we are going to talk about that in a while on a lighter side, but on a serious side, the communication is not being practiced or is not even bothered. So the other person, like, you know what, I don't want to waste my single time. I don't want to waste my time on you, and the person just goes there. So every question is pretty much similar. That there's no communication on the relationship. I just disappear. With a very good friend of mine of 5 years, and I said, you know what, I don't want to waste my time messaging. Disappear. How do we look at this in a bigger social problem?
So I think what people don't understand is that those days when people when our parents' time, when they had, or when our grandparents' time, when they don't meet people, what they do is, oh sorry, when they don't like people, they tell them off on their face, or they write them letters lah. Now even with letters, I think with the way you actually write your handwriting, that actually tells you. But with social media these days, everything comes in one font. So you don't know whether that person is angry or not. And
Right.
our parents' time, they meet face to face. I think slightly before our generation, they used to call. Even with the call, you may not know their expressions, but at least you can hear their voice. Now we have resorted to texting. So we have gone to a level where
Right.
it's so difficult to even say what that person is feeling, thinking, or this one. I may
Right.
say, "Hi, Vance. What's up? What's up?"
Yeah.
And you may say, "Eh, you may be looking up and say nothing. There's
What's up?
nothing. There's nothing up." You see, that's
What?
taken too literally. Yeah,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is taken too literally. Maybe you go and tell the person, "Hey, yesterday night was cool. Maybe we should do it again sometime." But somebody else would think, yesterday
Yeah.
night was. Why didn't he say or she say awesome? Why
Yeah.
didn't she say it was fantastic? Why is it sometime? Why not tomorrow? Why not day after?
Right.
So I think everything can be taken out of context, especially when it is non-emotional,
Right.
non-verbal, verbal in the sense of voice and physical appearance. That is why I think, just to share with you, one of the research I've done in the past, which was actually quite extensively cited, was parent and teenager communications in the new era. And you will not believe it, a lot of kids actually thirst, or they actually crave their parents' communication face to face. And alternative to that is actually they would like to actually have a video call with their parents. Why? The main reason is they can see their expression. Like for example, if let's say I say, let's say, Mom, I would like to go here, here, here today, and all that. My mother may say, okay. In a text, it's okay. In social media, it will be okay. But in real life, okay.
Yeah.
And then hey, you know what? Something is wrong. That's the difference. So I think communicating in the sense that I think it's a type of communication as well, verbal communication with hand gestures, with emotion, that makes it very different. Because if you are going to let a person down, let's talk about letting a
Right.
person down. You do it on text. I'm sorry, I don't think we should see each other. Even when
Yep.
I'm saying it, you can hear the tone in my voice that there is some regret and there's some remorse. But if
Right.
you would read it, you may read it, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to, I'm sorry, I don't think this is working out. The tone in your head is completely different. So I
Right.
think that's where I agree with Eric is, why not we communicate directly? Say it out. Hey, come on, lah, guys. These days, even social media, you can send voice notes.
No,
When
no,
you
it's
know it, I'm sometimes so busy I can't reply
yeah,
you.
we do that.
I just voice note you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But when someone voice notes you, it has a better sense of feeling, with
True.
your voice tone and all that. So I think that's where it should slightly divert and slightly change. But I think it is the upbringing, because if people do not understand that this is important, they have been kept on social media, they have been kept on devices for so long. We're not going to see the end of it. And this may be something new and emerging. Like how our grandparents will say, Aya, you fellas all nowadays are watching TV. Our time are nothing like that. We go and see wayang kulit.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we're going to we've reached that age where we're going to tell, oh my god, these kids these days last time my time what texting all. Texting means calling a taxi. That's all. Nothing else. That is how, this is a generational thing, which is in my opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Arivinder. Thank you so much for that. Now we will be spending the next 10 minutes on interventions because, like I said, we talked about the problem. Now we will be looking into the solutions right now, the possible solutions. Of course, nothing is perfect, but let's get into Sham. Sham, are we supposed to get social media? Are we supposed to take social media very strictly or very seriously? Because imagine if I'm going to send a text message to Sham, right, and say, hey buddy, tomorrow 9 p.m, and then I'll be just waiting to see whether you're online, and I'm getting very anxious, and the moment you're online I just monitoring it, and then I see, and then you disappeared. I'm like, you didn't take me for serious. And then obviously I'm going to think a lot of stuff, probably anxiety and kind of stuff. So are we supposed to take social media so much seriously?
Yeah, before I answer that, I would like to share a very real example
Sure.
of technology being used. We still text, right? And we are afraid
Right.
to even call a person up. The moment you receive a call, you'll be like, why is Vance calling me? Can't he just text me? You
Yeah.
just get afraid. Like when a call comes in, you are like panicking. Oh no, why is he calling me? Why not he message me instead? And then on the other side, you see aunties and uncle just doing voice text over the phone. Why? Because they're
True.
used to hearing voices. And you will be laughing at them because like can just text, or why are they voice? You need to play again, you need to hear again, and then you need
Yeah.
to record again. But like what Dr. Arivinder has shared, basically they want to hear the emotion in the tone of
Right.
what they're trying to say, and you'll be finding like, hey, why this auntie on the bus laughing like crazy? Why is she doing that? Yeah, but because that's the real emotion that she's trying to share across with advanced technology, which is our smartphone.
Right.
And coming back to your question on how do we have this intervention. I mean, you can have. I went for camps where we basically have to surrender our handphones, and you just have to communicate, and that really puts it to perspective. So we can have community camps to address that, and the theme
Right.
was very real. It was like disconnect to reconnect. And we can be friends on Facebook, on social media for longest time. But when I meet you, I got nothing to say. You also got nothing to say. You'll be like, hey, this guy profile picture looks very different. Who is this? I don't even know this person. Are you sure it's Vance, And coming back to the social media perspective, when someone blue ticks you, you see how WhatsApp and Telegram has moved forward, knowing that people do not want to be misled, knowing that
Yeah.
you actually read the message. So it's a partial blame to these tech companies that come up with such things, and they themselves are creating this havoc within the society.
Right.
And it's personal preference. And to put it into context, I don't want to be disturbed after my working hours. It's my personal life. So that's why I have it. Or the other context is, yes, I read a message, but I'm not going to reply you because you're not my priority.
Yeah, there
And
you go.
and and it's not that I'm not going to reply you, but I might reply you a bit later or a day
Hmm.
later.
Hmm.
Yeah, and if it's that urgent, like I said, just call. That will make a panic attempt to the other
Yeah.
side, and they would like, hey, yeah, what's up, man, what's up? Oh, okay, I'm having lunch, or I'm in a meeting, let me get back to you. Or I mean, I've been flamed for this because I tend to read all my messages, but I also tend to forget to reply. So I'm trying to pick up a new habit to reply when I open, at least to let the person know that, hey, I'll reply later. If I don't, please remind me, or
Hmm.
something like that. And if you really need me to like, trash it out, or something that is happening among us, call
Right.
me, or let's meet up for lunch. So people will be like, Sham, how come you're not at home every other day? I mean, you caught me off guard today, luckily, because I'm supposed to have dinner with my friend. Why? Because that's how connections are made. You have to meet people. When we meet at the dinner table, take the phone, put it at the side. But of course, that doesn't really happen naturally. We try
True.
to do that, but and then you can play the game like whoever phones ring first has to pay the bill.
Pay the bill. It's a good one, yeah. Thank you, Sham, for that. Like you point out some very good points. I got to give it to that. Nowadays we smile very often on the phone, at the phone, rather than people, because of the messages, and we're always constantly, someone I spoke to the other, I think about 2 days back. I said, do you keep your phone by the side? No, I have to touch my phone and sleep. So he's putting like a phone, like a bolster. He has to have the feel of the phone. So I'm not sure how we have became so addicted to it. So let's go to Dr. Arvinder. So, what are the possible interventions that we are looking at, Doc? I know this could be another bigger problem as a pandemic in the next upcoming 10 years or 20 years. I'm not sure, or probably we're already in, right? We are living in the social media, everything need response, everything have to be fast. If I don't post 5 pictures, I don't even leave. It's not about whether I'm breathing or not. It's whether am I in the social media. So with that, so much of constraint that we are looking at, how one should be in a good resilient mode, not to
So
fall a victim for that.
I think resilience mode is basically knowing your limitations. What are your limitations? You must understand that social media is good for you to connect with people, but it is not for you to keep. Keep. It is good to just to keep in touch or maybe make new connections, but it is only a very very fine line that has formed. You have not formed a rope. You are maybe just
Right.
forming a very thin thread line. That's about it. But of course, connections build up over a period of time where you actually need to uh, divulge in conversation, like what Sham mentioned before. It is going wanting to make an effort to go and meet out with the person that actually helps. So I think some of the things what we have to learn, the resilience and how to actually go about it is, it must be two-way. Think before you post on social media, and remember, always put yourself in the reverse. How would you feel in that particular condition?
Right.
I think one of the good ways is switching off or learning how to switch off. If everybody learns how to switch off, this problem won't exist, because
True.
everybody, like, okay, that means ghosting or why? Oh, the fly switched off. When that becomes an acceptance, it's
Yeah.
fine. Notice a lot of people, they cannot off their Wi-Fi, they cannot off their data plans on their phone because they keep wanting to see what's happening immediately. But I think it is high time that people learn, like what Sham said, how to disconnect. Once you disconnect from I'm talking from the wireless world, you go into the wired world. What is the wired world? When you're born with the umbilical cord. That was the first form of technology, of wired technology. You
True.
know, you will never find a mother giving birth, the placenta coming out, and the baby, there's no umbilical cord to cut because it's Bluetooth. It doesn't happen that
No,
way.
not at all.
It doesn't happen that way. But I also want to come back into another thing, and which I will come back to the point of how elderly people these days refuse to do online transaction work. I'm not talking about banking alone. I'm talking about paying bills, paying this. When you ask them and you ask why are you doing this? It's so easy. You can just do that. You don't have to go to the post office. You don't have to go here. You don't have to go there. You can do everything online. And you just hear some of the old folk what they say. Oh my God, that is such a sad life. You just sit in front of your device or computer or PC or whatever or handphone, and you do everything. I would like to go to XYZ because on the way there I can stop at my favorite stall, I can have a drink, I can meet my old friend who I know for 30 years. I go to the bank, I know the teller, I know the first father who used to work there, and now I can ask him how is his father. That brings me resilience. So I think it is adaptivity. So if, like what Sham brought up, FOMO, fear of missing out. If you don't give your kids devices these days or teach them how to be online, they're going to be left out. Eventually they're going to be left out. But the fear of missing out, you must remember that the fear of missing out, if you don't study, the fear of
Mhm.
missing out, yes, it's important. But if you don't go online, what is the fear of missing out? There's no fear of missing out. But it is a perception which we have created in our mind, which is the point I'm bringing. It is the perception and the thought process of people. So if the perception is that it's okay, if a person doesn't want to reply to me, it is their right. I look at it that
That's right.
way. If I feel that it is their right, and maybe this person is not, the chemistry is not right, it's fine, you're done with it. But the
True.
problem is the moment you start overthinking, oh my God, why is this person, did this person talk to this person? Then you start looking through their friend list. Oh, this person is friends with that guy, maybe that fella went and told him something about me which I
That's
told to him, and or her, or no, that all creates unnecessary tension. So I think is learning how to disconnect and also understanding that it is any individual's right. It's just like, even if you're communicating, somebody else can go and communicate with the other person and say, oh, this person is like that, like that. It's the same thing, but choose to ignore. You can be the same person that you are. I always tell my patients who come with this type of issues, you must remember that when you're communicating with a person and the other person doesn't want to communicate back, it's not your fault. You are doing the right thing. It is the problem is the other person should be sitting here talking to me, not you, because you are doing the right thing. So I think acceptance of how people and how different behaviors are. Remember, everybody thinks that when they go and buy a tablet of a certain brand, they're getting the same specifications: 512 gigabyte RAM,
gigabyte.
uh, 512 memory, and then you're having 16 gigabyte of RAM. Everything doesn't come the same. You just imagine, for the youth out there, every tablet can come in 256 colors, and with the 256 colors, remember that your tablet may be divided into three. The front may be a different color, the back is a different color. Everybody is built differently, so the way you're going to cope will be very different from the way other people are going to cope. It is what works best for you. But first, you have to know is, you have to understand that there is a coping mechanism and you have to deal with it. I think getting help in initially early, talking to someone more, someone more, how would I say, someone who knows a bit about it, a professional, is very important.
Very well said, Doctor and Sham, on this topic of ghosting and cancel culture. I'm sure it will happen. It will still take place, like you said, if we try to switch off and don't take social media so seriously. Because nowadays you can see, uh, if I post something, if I don't get 5 likes, the whole world is crushed, right? Oh, why I didn't put enough makeup, or if I never do this, this is where we are living in. We are always expecting likes, good comments, and so forth. So thank you guys for this great input on the topic of ghosting and cancel culture. Is it effective? Obviously we know it's not, but it cannot be prevented, but we can minimize it. Thank you for your both of you for your inputs and your time for today at Kopi Events. Thank you, Sham. Thank you, Dr. Arinda. As usual, we will stay connected, and we will catch up with the next upcoming few episodes. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, everyone. Stay
Thank you.
positive.
Thank you. Thank you, Vance. Thank you,
Cheers.
everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sham. We'll catch up soon. Cheers.
Yep.
All right, so that's another episode of at Kopi Events, and ghosting and cancel culture. Is it effective? Obviously, we know it's not effective at all. But even though it's still happening, it can happen to you, or it can happen to us, everybody, anybody. But if you ever have anyone in your friend list who suddenly disappear, even though they didn't disappear like the David Copperfield, the best magician at one point of time, it's my favorite idol. Don't get disheartened, because probably there's a lot of other indications. Maybe the priorities have changed. Probably the person has decided to move on. Probably they're just busy with something. But in the other part of the coin, the other side of the coin, do not get disheartened. And then don't ponder with a lot of questions as, hey, why the person went away, or why the person is not replying. And because if you're going to waste all these valuable time of yours, it is not fruitful, because you are going to put in, like what both of the speakers, Dr. Arivinder and Sheam, has said, you are wasting a lot of time wondering what may went wrong. And because of that, you are inducing you're inflating self pain for yourself. It is not a pleasure, and because of that, you can go through certain anxiety as well. So take in consideration how you can put some interventions. If somebody decided to do ghosting, it's okay. If you obviously, if your very good friend suddenly disappears, like Dr. Arvinder suddenly disappear, I message him, hey brother, Kopi. If he's not responding, I know why. Maybe he's busy. But after 2 days or 3 days later, if I message him, or probably I wonder what exactly has happened to him. Maybe he's busy or extremely busy if he's not replying. And then we try different form of communication, visiting him and kind of stuff. But as you know, one part of this ghosting or this cancel culture is they purposely want to do that for you, right? They purposely want to induce pain, so that they're just putting you as you are there, but you're not there. All right. I don't want to waste my time. It could be one of the reasons as well. Like we talked a lot of options today. It is self-resilience that you have to build. If the other person choose to move on, you just have to say, you know what, it's fine. You didn't value my friendship. I'm still going to go ahead. I have many other kind souls and other friends as well. You got to bring your mind into such a state. I know it can be difficult at times, especially years of relationship, especially a friends, suddenly disappears. And that's what we are relating to it right now. Ghosting and cancel culture definitely is not effective. It's a way of confrontation. It's a way of communication. But the other person choose not to, because they don't want to go into emotional state, or some kind of drama, or some kind of arguments. Probably that's one of the reasons why they went disappeared. All right. But whatever the reasons is, be in a state of your own self-resilience. Don't fall for it. And these are the few things that you can actually prevent yourself getting hurt. And don't be too emotional. Right. A very interesting topic today. So please do share and like. We are live in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook as well. As usual, we are going to catch you again on the next week. A great health topic, obviously, it's coming in. And thank you so much for all the messages that came in. Thank you, Rojani. Thank you, Mistan. And we have a lot more who came in. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we were going to catch you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Till then, Kopi, Beat Vance, Catcha. Adios, amigos.